Well, howdy there, internet people. It's Bo again. So today we are we're gonna talk about that hearing because that was a surprise, wasn't it? Uh, how's it going? That was a unique little conversation that occurred there. Um, Hang on a second while I tweet this out and make sure everybody knows what we're doing. I hope y'all can hear me. There was no surprise. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess there wasn't really a surprise in what happened, but yeah, I mean, it was nice to hear it. Wow, y'all are coming in fast today. It's almost like something big happened. People are really interested. If you want notes and to kind of get a good thing of what historians are going to find most interesting about it, I would go to the hashtag on Twitter, Hath. Thank you, Pitchforks Dragon. Mr. President, if you don't behave, I will turn this car around. Yeah, that's that tracks, doesn't it? Flipping over the game when you lose and all of that stuff. But yeah, so if you're on Twitter and you're looking for notes, and they do this every single time, there's a hearing. It's hashtag Hath, Hath. Hello, Matthew Dunham. Thank you, March. Let's see. Work, and I've been looking forward to a video from you in regards to this. Yeah, I will probably do a normal video for shouldn't. So that's it's nice seeing that play out. Thank you, Imperial Commissar. Thank you, Sticks Mommy. Great to have a live today. Thanks, Bo. Thank you, Anna LA. Howdy there, internet people. Thanks for going live. Thank you, Brandy Holscher. Love what you do. Keep teaching. Thank you. Thank you, Fodemeyer. Thank you, Julie Crabble. Thank you, Cody Christofferson. It was cool to get some input from someone in the West Wing while it was going on. My whole family loves your channel. Well, thank you. Yeah, the testimony that people can provide when they're in a functionary role, they tend to know more about the actual goings on than most of the high profile people, and that certainly appeared to be the case today. Everything I'm about to say is based off of this testimony. It hasn't been proven in court and all of that stuff. So innocent until proven guilty and all of that stuff. But I think Mark Meadows is in some real trouble. Thank you, Smooth Brain. Thank you, Steve Biana. Thank you, Linus H. Thank you, Joshua Brown. It definitely seems like Meadows has some significant legal exposure. Let's see. Joe. How about the Florida ruling about loud music in cars being an offense now? Yeah, that's not really a surprise. I've seen that. I mean, that's kind of been enforced anyway. Thank you, Shayna. Thank you, Anthony Mann. Thank you, She. You needed my mother's shoe. Witness tampering. Yeah, so Trump is reported to have, thrown food and acted like a baby, had a giant tantrum, grabbed the steering wheel of the limo, a whole bunch of stuff. But the key elements here, the things that really matter, are that he was under the impression that those protesters were not there to hurt him. And he said this repeatedly. That's going to come back on him, especially considering there are statements saying that they were armed. And I have some questions about that. I'm not sure how you would have an AR-15 that close to a secure location, but that is the testimony. Thank you, Holly Olson Pierce. Thank you, Stevie and Michael. Thank you, Beverly Weber. Thank you, Ancom. Thank you, Derek Atterbury. Love your show. Your insight is exactly what I need to counter my friends' arguments. What is your background? I was a consultant. I was a civilian consultant. Thank you, Safekeeper. World's going mad. Thanks for a stable and rational place. Thank you, Congressional Baseball Fan. We have some serious Hall of Fame contenders. Thank you, Rubarbus. No, thank you. Nice. Thank you, Hasty Chester. Thank you, Stay Gray. Thank you, Mech Scrap Tracks. Above her rumors of Russian metal bands with fast ties are going out to bat for Ukraine instead of Russia. I haven't heard anything about that, so I don't know. Thank you, Raymond Aguilar. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Matt Bowden. Hey, they're tuning in from England. I've been watching events in the U.S. with much interest and really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Naima B. Thank you, Staghorn the Druid. Hey, a long-time viewer, first time on the stream. Thank you. Yeah, we'll keep going. Thank you, Cavalera75. That's for the fat beard. Greetings from Munich. Super Dolo. Do you think race played a role in Uvalde's police's delayed response? I actually think it's something worse than that, if you want to know the truth. I don't really feel comfortable saying what I think it is, but if you go back and watch the original Let's Talk About Rule 303 video, I go out of my way to say that in that instance, I don't think that cop should be called a specific name. You will note I have not said that about these cops. Thank you, Sinky von Brook. Please run for, oh, definitely not. Definitely not running for anything. Thank you, Gray Syndicate. What do you think about Maxwell only getting 20 years? I mean, I don't know. I honestly haven't been following that case very closely. Chavis Sabin, thank you. Thank you, James Vaughn. Trump was ready to be crowned king on the steps of the Capitol. That's what it looks like. It looks, that testimony certainly leads me to believe that he wanted to go to the Capitol and be there when his troops took over. That's what it seems like. And to be honest, I'm really glad his staffers stopped him, because with him present, they might have succeeded for a time. And that's one thing that everybody needs to keep in mind as we find out how close it got. Just remember that's just for the day. There are a lot of safeguards in place. He did not have what he needed for a successful coup. Thank you, Corrine Morrow. Thank you, Midnight Man 352. Thank you, Savior DD. Just joined. I've subbed in the last year and been curious. How are you so connected? Former military? No. Former contractor, advisor, consultant. Snickerdoodle. Thank you. Thank you, Ebony Nicole. Your channel is one I look forward to on the daily. Thank you. Thank you, Nicholas Dens. Love your analysis. Yeah, it's interesting for sure. That's really the only word I have for it. Seeing it all come out and laid out, on the 6th, I tweeted out, "You're witnessing an attempted coup." And I got a lot of pushback for it at the time. Not so much now, but it's normally when stuff like this happens, you don't get a breakdown. You don't get a play-by-play. Countries tend to avoid talking about their unpleasantness. This is really good that this is happening, even though we're going to hear stuff we don't want to hear. Thank you, Poochie. Going to talk about the Supreme Court ruling on religious expression in school. It really seems like we are going backwards quick. There's a part in that. I need to sit down and read the whole ruling because I skimmed it. And there's a part in it that it makes it seem like the only reason they ruled the way they did is because after he stopped going with the students. He went by himself, and that's why the school had a problem. I'm not sure about that. So I have to really sit down and read the whole opinion, and I haven't done that yet. So um, remember, Imperial comments, remember to like the stream. Yeah. I love the way y'all handle that for me because I never remember to do it. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Ian Laughlin. Thank you, Still Alive. Michael Cohen thinks Trump will be indicted, but skeptical of him being convicted. Just saw him on his YouTube channel talk about it. It's going to be hard to convict him. You have to find 12 people who aren't Trump loyalists. It's going to be difficult, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't be pursued or that people should ignore it or just decide ahead of time that it's not going to happen, so don't go after it. The evidence that we have seen certainly appears that he has committed crimes that probably should be pursued, and I believe DOJ is headed that way. Thank you, iQuestion. Thank you, another Mike. Let's see, Charles. You speculated a while ago it would have been disastrous if Trump had gone to the Hill. What is your reaction that he did attempt this? Yeah, I'm really glad he didn't go. That would have. I feel that there would be a lot more lost had he actually gone. I don't think it would have changed the end result because he didn't have what you need for a coup. He didn't have the backing of the military. He didn't have a lot of the stuff that he thought he had. But as far as the actions of that day, him showing up could have only made it worse. So I'm really glad that didn't happen. Thank you, Bo. Thank you, Bo. All right. Thank you, the Martinian. Thank you, Northern FPV. Thank you, Daniel George. Hey, Bo from Music City. I've heard of being on a fly on a wall, but a Big Mac on the wall is a new one. Yeah. I have a feeling that the staff, the cleaning staff, the assistant staff, the housekeeping staff, the cooking staff, they've got stories to tell. That if I was the committee, I'd be looking there because they often overhear things that people don't realize they've heard. Thank you, Amanda Tickenen. Thank you for doing this. I just got off work trying to catch up on the hearing. So Trump, short version, recap. Trump appears to be aware that there were weapons on scene. He was certain that those people were not there to hurt him. He wanted the speech to include the stuff about fighting and going to the Capitol. His staff stopped him from going to the Capitol personally. He had a few outbursts and temper tantrums. Apparently, Meadows is quoted as saying things might get real bad, talking about the 6th before it ever happened. There are allegations of witness tampering, and there's a general tone of Trump not wanting to intervene, even while they were saying to, go after Pence. Thank you, Aaron McKibben. Thank you. Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Caden KU. Would you consider talking about militarization of police post 2020? Yeah, if things ever slow down, I'm going to go back and revisit a lot of those videos that went out in 2019, and try to update them with newer information. Thank you, Janda Gray. Try liking video. Cheers from Poland. Rex Downham, thank you. Michael H. Out of curiosity, what's got you opposed to running for office? Yeah, no. As far as me running for office, there's one. I'm not the sort. I'm really not. I am not the type that would be good at it. I believe you can run your life better than I can. And then there's also the whole thing of, politicians have skeletons in their closet. I got a full-blown cemetery back there. I'm just not fit for public office. Thank you, Nick Phillips. Just a hello from your northern neighbor in Georgia. Thank you, MC. Do you think today's testimony was actually planned, but they waited until the last minute to protect the witness? No, I think this was a genuine surprise. I think I think that some of this is coming out now because the committee may have a hint that DOJ is moving forward. And once that starts happening, people are going to be way less likely to talk because they're going to be concerned about the criminal aspects of it. Thank you, Mino Palouse. Thank you, Southern Sass. Thank you, Mr. Common. We are here with you. We are here together. Thank you, the Vincent Kyle. Thank you for having the cadence of a teacher. It makes you more legit to non-fans. Many of your videos revolve around, I got a message. If one is not on social media, how does one do this? In the comments of the YouTube videos. I don't respond to all of them, obviously, but I do read them normally within everything that's posted within the first 24 hours under a video. I read them, and some of them come in through there, and that's probably the best way if you don't use Twitter or something like that. Ripley, will it have an impact on his base at all? Maybe. Over time, yes, but most importantly, it's going to chip away at what's left of the normal Republican Party. Those that haven't fully gone total fash, those that are still actual conservatives, it will have an impact on them, and that's going to be enough to keep him out of office. Now, the real worry is that we get a more polished version of Trump. Let's see. Thank you, Deanna Lorette. Thank you, Aaron Foster. What's the story of the picture behind the play button? Oh, that's from one of y'all. Somebody sent it to me, and they actually sent a series of them, and I put that one up, and people really liked it, so it stayed. I was going to cycle through them, but people really like that one, so that one's there. That's from one of y'all. Thank you, the Martinian. What do you think of the final bit with someone talking to potential witnesses? Yeah, I mean, that certainly sound like witness tampering to me. Let's see. Thank you, Jen. Do you think Ms. Hutchinson will be protected? Yes. Yeah. I would imagine that there are professionals that have been contracted to do that. Thank you, Nick. Sorry to bring in the cynical viewpoint. I don't have any expectation that not only Trump will not be held accountable, but his voters don't care enough to change their votes. I'm cautious when it comes to Trump being held accountable. A whole lot of other people who enabled him, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're getting indicted. Thank you, Kit. You see, I'm interested in how the witness tampering will be handled. And also that Cheney felt the need to mention it as if they knew something more than what she said out loud. Oh, I definitely believe that they know more than what they're saying. Every time they've done this in the past where they've been like, oh, guess what? Here's this blank unnamed message. They tend to have way more information. So my guess is there's probably something later on in that conversation that is more direct. And this is a way of them kind of signaling, saying, hey, you're the person that sent this message on somebody's behalf. Maybe you should go in and talk to the DA or to the Department of Justice and get a deal, because otherwise you're going to be one going to prison for it. Thank you, Mystic Yahara. Thank you, Xian Kuriyama. If the coup succeeded, what do you think would have gone down? If they had succeeded that day, they would have had to deal with I don't really want to say it like that because it sounds really bad. There are safeguards for such things. And they're not always pretty. But I mean, I think the least dramatic thing would be removal under the 25th Amendment, which was apparently discussed, and we found that out. And it seems like it was discussed more than was previously known. Let's see. Thank you, BG Maxi, from South Africa here. I talked with my dad about abortion. The cliff didn't fully work, tried autonomy, gender roles, didn't fully change, but was more receptive. Take it as a win. Yeah, it's a process. If you go back and have the same conversation again, a couple weeks, change it up a little bit, add something new, it's just little digestible bits, and we can, help move people along. Thank you, Froggy. Trump tried to reach for a throne. Our founding fathers made sure wasn't there. Yeah. It's actually it's amazing how resilient the system proved to be. I didn't have that much faith in it. I'm getting a whole bunch of comments here that say I'm buffering, but good news is I'm like 6 minutes behind, so I didn't even know that happened. Thank you, William Toka. Ojeda Booker. I will say that there are not a lot of political people that I follow online. I follow Ojeda. So, thank you, Luck Dragon. As a retired veteran of 20 years, everything about what Trump attempted to do disgusts me. Knowing that there are those who thank me for my service while cheering Trump's attempted coup breaks my heart. Yeah, I do have to admit, I really liked when apparently the tweet went out and some of the people that were previously in uniform were like, yeah, I'm gone. Y'all have a good day. And these were his supporters. And that's one of the things that I don't think a lot of people outside of that culture understand, is that the military is not going to play ball with something like that. Not in any real numbers. And when you look and you think about the fact that somebody that was actually on staff, as soon as they saw that, they were like, no, I'm done. This is not what I signed up for. Thank you, Narf Vader. Had a discussion about why it's called late stage capitalism. Are there examples like the Romans or something, or are we just assuming it's a late stage? Wow, that's way too deep to get into completely here, but it's an assumption based on economic theory that has kind of shown itself in a lot of ways. I mean, it's not an exact term, but there's the general way it gets used in conversation. I mean, it's not inaccurate. Thank you, Rachel Smith. What do you think of the Secret Service? Yeah, abbreviating that looks weird. What do you think of the Secret Service agent did to stop Trump from attacking him in the car? Did he potentially get to strike Trump? That seems unlikely. I mean, you got to remember, Trump's an older guy. It was probably more of a please stop, Thank you, Christopher Miller. Hello from Cascadia. There was certainly a thing today. I went in expecting fireworks and was still shocked. Yeah, and keep in mind, this didn't even touch on the information that The Guardian reported on. And the rumors around that are just as wild as what you saw today. So bear that in mind, that this isn't over. So sounds like a storm just rolled in here. So if I do just completely, if the feed just stops, the weather got me. Let's see. Thank you, Vontox. Where do you think we'd be as a country right now if Trump went to the Capitol and the crowd, took out Pence and members of Congress? It'd be a mess. It'd be a mess. But at the end of the day, he still didn't have what he needed to actually implement a coup. He was attempting one, it certainly appears, but in order to do that, you need a lot of support among key people in the military that he didn't have. And he didn't have the support he thought he had when it came to federal law enforcement, which sometimes can act as a crutch to fill in for having the military support that you lack. But he didn't even have that. So even if they were successful in taking that building that day, they wouldn't have held it. Let's see. Thank you, Sarah Abebe. Thank you, Michael Berthelsen. You may not be suitable, but still thousands times better than most current politicians. Yeah, I get it. I mean, there are times when I'm like, we should really just do a lottery. But let's see. Thank you, Jamie Todd. Can you do a video on how to handle if you end up face to face with a Proud Boy? They've been coming around my area more. I'm really reluctant to do videos like that for a number of reasons. One is you put out advice based on your skill set, where you're at, what you're willing to do, and then somebody who maybe isn't of the same mindset might try to use that advice, and that's not great. And when it comes to, I was asked once to do a self-defense course for a domestic violence shelter, and I did. And I did it the way I would normally give a course like that. And at the end, basically the feedback I received was that perhaps the way I address stuff like that is a little too direct. And the students weren't necessarily receptive to some of the ideas that I presented, or the matter-of-fact way in which I presented it. So I would, if I had any advice, it would be to sit down, think about how you would handle it, and how you would, what you can realistically expect yourself to do. Thank you, Sarah Pierce. Thank you, Mike Belcher. Keep fighting the good fight, everyone. This ain't over by a long shot, even if TFG goes to jail. NSDQ. I'm really loving the number of people that drop those little acronyms down down in the comments now. It's nice to know that y'all are that y'all are on the side you're on. Still alive. Thank you. Could Ron DeSantis be just that? The polished version? Maybe, but he's not really that polished. I don't know. I mean, he's definitely a contender. If somebody worked with him on, media management and stuff like that, maybe. Thank you, Atheist Linguist. Did Trump's temper tantrums shock you even a little bit? No, not at all. I mean, the fact that he was apparently covers his food in ketchup, that does. But I mean, not really. He always struck me as the trust fund baby billionaire that always got his way. Let's see. Thank you, Plague Donor. How much would it cost perhaps to pay you, which of course you could donate to a charity, if someone can talk to you directly on Zoom for 30 minutes? I've never even thought about doing something like that. Send me a message on Twitter and just tell me what, because I imagine there's a specific reason, and it may be something I just do. So let's just send a message. Thank you, Bree Reed. Thank you, 800 Peds. I'm just curious to hear you try to pronounce my name. And also been following you for a while. Thank you. Thank you, Bryce Hill. How could one go about organizing young college-age people that choose to ignore news, current events, and not vote or participate because of that? You have to find something that relates to them personally. And I think that the Republican Party just kind of handed that out. When you're talking about college-age people, I would imagine that they care about reproductive health a lot, especially if you were to mention that some of the cases that they are looking at overturning have to do with contraception. Sometimes you just have to find that single issue to motivate people. Thank you, Andrew Meyer. Thank you, Brandon Bebitskus. Love the information your videos provide, even though they don't watch. My whole family knows who you are. Thank you. Let's see. It'd be nice to hear about a victory we may have missed recently. My fiance just got a new job, so it's been mixed highs and lows. Okay, my phone did that thing where it jumps around. I got to go back and find where I was at. So let's see. A win recently. Well, I will tell you that a bunch of states are putting injunctions on the overturning of Roe and allowing places to continue to work. I would count that as a victory. Let's see. Wow, I got to speed up. There's a whole bunch of them back here. Okay, and that was from PJK922. Let's see. Thank you, Cyber Shaman. I get such warm and fuzzy feelings imagining the submission of the Secret Service agent. My guess is it was probably a wrist lock. If he had to do anything at all, it was probably just like, please let me go. Thank you, Random Bigfoot Adventures. Yes, I did see the thing about Rudy getting, quote, assaulted in the store. That was quite the pat on the back there. Thank you, David Craig. Thanks for being a calm voice during all this. I try. Thank you, Wellsish. Flynn takes the fifth on peaceful transfer of power. Yeah, that was wild, wasn't it? Do you support the peaceful transfer of power? I plead the fifth. I'm sure that on some level that was just, the idea of taking the fifth on everything. But man, that is a some of those statements are just show the level of stonewalling. And while it's a legal right, it may not be the best legal move. So let's see. Okay. All right. Thank you, Lee Spainer. Thank you, Ben Graven. Thank you for being here. Well, thank you all for being here. BG Maxi. I'm from South America, not South Africa. So the SA abbreviation earlier. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you, Reminian Snowden. I know this is off topic, but could you please explain the history behind the phrase, be glad it's 2020 and not 1920? I'll have to look into what you mean. Thank you, Neely Nunia. I really appreciate your take on everything, and thank you for your willingness to create this channel. It's great to hear someone who looks like a family member. Thank you, Cadillac Jack, 1955. I've been enjoying your podcast for a while. You remind me of Noam Chomsky. Oh, that's flattering. I'm so glad we are on the same planet. Have a groovy day. Leslie Gresham, thank you. Mills was picked for that job because he's weak. I mean, he definitely seems to be a follower. Thank you, Kitty Stryker. Thanks for being a level-headed voice during all this chaos, encouraging coalition building over ideological purity. And thank you for offering steps forward. You're appreciated. Yes, and I have some videos coming out on that soon. Actually, some more, because there's been a bunch of questions. People are angry and motivated, and there's some steps to take coming out in videos over the next couple of days. Who'd have thought that both Idiocracy and The Handmaid's Tale were documentaries? Yeah. Said Mater. Just join. What are we raising money for? I actually don't have anything slated for today. This is just more of spur of the moment because of the hearings. But while we're on this topic, just in case you hear about it or you saw it on Twitter and don't know what's going on, for years I've talked about opening a school similar to Highlander Folk School. That was the inspiration for it, a place where people could learn and come to learn and affect social change. And that's what's taught there. And I've talked about it for years, said when we hit 1 million subscribers, I'd really start looking into doing it for real. And a school, like a literal physical school building, went up for sale about an hour from me, which is really close because I live out in the middle of nowhere. And I went to look at it and made some comments on Twitter about it. So there's a whole bunch of people asking. It is a long-term project. It's something we're looking into. The school that I went to look at, I mean, to get it up and running, it would cost like $1 million, and it's way too big. What I realized going to visit it is that we don't actually need anything nearly that large. So we're looking at other options. But so when you hear about that, that's what that's about. Thank you, Sherry D. Hey, Bo, nurse here. You have no idea what senile old guys can do. I'm very sure it was probably worse than you think in the car. Maybe. Thank you, Van Wen. It is better to master a skill before you deploy it to community networks. Is it better to master a skill before you deploy it to community networks, or just start and learn along the way while disappointing others because the results aren't ideal? Depends on what you mean by ideal. Nothing's perfect, even once you master the skill. As long as what you're doing isn't harmful, I'd keep going. As long as it's a net win, you can learn on the way all you want, because you're still making the world better as you move along. Thank you, Abraxas. We are also in the 5th column in a heavily Republican district in Western North Carolina. My wife and I love your videos. Thank you. Thank you, Misha. Thank you, David Hackey. Bo, your voice of reason. Thank you, Nathaniel Evans. Thank you, Douglas Hirschman. Thank you, Jonathan Frank. Thank you, Malinka. Totally off beat, but been really down about my zennial life lately. Not as settled in life as I tried to be. Thought I would be by now. Feel like I've got nothing going for me, and the world is keeping it this way. Any advice? I don't know your situation. I don't know what you felt like, where you felt like you'd be, and where you are. But if you are, a lot of times when people talk like this, it's about financial stuff. Just remember that in times of economic downturn, that's kind of the place where you can kind of try to get ahead. If you have anything going for you at all, if you have that one step, you can normally take 2. If you don't have that advice doesn't do you any good at all. It's hard, and I know it's hard. The system is broke. So we have to keep working to try to make it better. Brutus Magnuson, thank you. What's the best way for a civilian to mentally condition themselves for an emergency situation? Learn all the skills and practice them. That way, when something happens, you're more focused about actually providing the first aid than you are about anything else. Once you have the skills, you can focus on that. It isn't about conditioning yourself to be on alert all the time. The only way you get that is through PTSD. I wouldn't recommend it. The real trick is to make sure you train yourself to the point where you're capable of responding even in high stress situations. You have done it so much that you don't even think about it, and you forget to announce steps. If you go back and look at that video where I'm talking about how to use cat tourniquets, I apply the tourniquet and say it step by step 2 or 3 times in that video. And at no point do I say you actually Velcro the strap closed. I just do it. Get to the point where it is so second nature that even when you're explaining it, you forget steps, because you just know what to do. And then you don't have to rely on being paranoid all the time. You have the skills at hand. Uh, Thank you, Pitchforks Dragon. You think Biden framed the burger stain and ketchup on the wall as modern art? I would. Uh, does the Secret Service ever need to testify? Would they be considered complicit? There is definitely going to be a gentleman's agreement there where the Secret Service does not talk. That's even in the private sector. You if you're a security consultant, you do not talk about your clients ever, no matter what the outcome. So I don't see that happening. Conversations from the French. Thank you. This donation is in honor of Jackie and Marilyn. They are, I'm assuming, livestock, but the ladies they were named after are not. For those that don't know, and that makes no sense, my horses are named Jackie and Marilyn. Two of them. Thank you, Sleevy Nicks. Thank you, Bonnie Schmeets. Thank you, Casey Franks. Message retracted. Thank you, Jay Caldwell. Thank you, Sam Hankins. Thank you, Nirbit. How's the growing stuff on an apartment patio experiment going? Not well, actually. Not well. So as far as the community gardening thing that we're doing, the raised bed thing, that's going really well. The greenhouse thing is going really well. The trees are going really well. As far as the growing stuff vertically on the wall, we didn't get the building built in time to put stuff on the wall for it to grow. So while we can put it up and show you what it would look like, it's not going to be like the other stuff where you see nothing and then you see it grow when the video's done. And that kind of feels like cheating, but at the same time, we may end up doing it just to show people how it's done. Let's see. Here. All right. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Are any minds changed by any of this? Probably. We focus on the extremes. We focus on the extremes. And I think because of that, we forget that there's a lot in the middle. That's messed up. I can't believe I supported this person, or will be more leery about supporting people who use that rhetoric in the future. Thank you, Antonio Miller. Let's see. Hey, Bo, say there was a foreign state country hostile to you as a person. How would one get out of such a hypothetical situation if you don't have the money to just up and leave Texasistan? What I would start doing is, rather than looking for the money to move somewhere and set up anew, I would start looking for jobs in other places. I would start with that, or working remotely from a place that is somewhere else. And again, this is one of those things we don't. It's hard for me to say because I don't know all of the information I know or need to know to make a good plan. But I wouldn't focus on saving up the money so you can move somewhere and start anew. I would try to make it more of a gradual thing, and I would start as soon as possible. If you are looking, let's see. All right. I think I'm breaking up again. Let's see. Wow. All right. I definitely have to speed up. I'm talking too much on each question here. Thank you, MP Jedi. Gas price in Matitech, Canada. Thanks for keeping me sane the last few years. Thank you, Spry. Carry on. Love your content. Thank you. Thank you, Sir Vagabond. DOD says it will continue to provide reproductive rights. Right. They're going to use a workaround they've been using this whole time. There's a lot of misconception about what that means. It doesn't mean that they're going to be providing family planning on post or on base. It means that they're going to provide leave when they should. I'll probably do a video on this. Just understand that what they're saying isn't them saying we're going to ignore the Supreme Court. It's what to us, because we don't do it ourselves anyway. We let people go elsewhere. We're just going to give them more time to go there. Thank you, Patrick Malone. Thank you, Jake Johnson. You don't have to answer, but how do you react when when people bring up your past? I mean, it is what it is. You're talking about stuff, depending on what you're talking about here, you're talking about something that either happened 15, 20 years ago. I mean, I don't know. Thank you, Robert F. Jobin. I didn't think today would contain the idea of Trump trying to choke out a Secret Service agent. Yeah, that was a surprise. Thank you, Epic Adventure 21. You and John Stewart need to hang out. You two would be a powerful force for good of humanity. Caper, thank you. Thank you from Canada. Thank you, Andre Lyons. Been following you for a while. Lyons. You're my brother that went over to the dark side. Patrick Malone, can we do more talking about the hearings and significantly less thank yous? We kind of went through most, or ignoring the help, or ignoring the assistants and the aides in the area, and how the committee's going to be able to get information from them over and over again. The idea that Western or weapons were present at the rally, that's going to come up over and over again, because it shows that Trump was aware of this, because he said they weren't after him. So when he said, hey, let's go to the Capitol and fight, he knew at least some of them were armed because he'd already talked about it. The outbursts, I mean, that's just normal political stuff. The reality is Meadows is probably heavily exposed legally. So the feds, if they choose to proceed, they're going to lean on him pretty heavy to get him to cooperate. Trump wanting to go to the Capitol, again, says a lot, because here's this situation that's unfolding, and he wants to go because he knows that those are his people. And then him not wanting to intervene when the chants started, and then the witness tampering. Those are the key elements from today. You know, again, I'll suggest it again. If you want to go back and look at each little thing, hit up the hashtag on Twitter, HATH, history or historic. Angelina in SoCal, living in California and furious about the recent Supreme Court rulings. Can you do a video that highlights some grassroots organizations in the swing of red states that I can contribute to? I'll try. Thank you, Arc Mystic. Do you think a peaceful route to the world we want is still available considering recent rulings and headlines? Yeah. Yeah. I do. Thank you, Thomas Bernecki. Okay, here's to a Bow family vacation and or something in a mason jar. Thanks. Thank you, Antolin Lennon 111. Thanks for doing what you do. Macro, micro, you got to know. Thank you. Thank you, physics nerd. Thank you. I from Iowa. What I miss? I hope you watched the hearing today. If not, you will definitely catch the cliff notes all over the news. Thank you, Haylox. The empty hanger in the background of your recent videos always makes me think I have hair on my phone for a good 3 seconds. Yeah, so you notice it went away and then it came back, and that's because videos went out of order because of the Supreme Court ruling. I took it away. Let's see. Okay. Wow. All right. Okay. Thank you, Limited Light. Oh, PSLF wiped out my student debt this month. Cool. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Mr. Mother Ducker. When you plead the fifth on one question, you have to plead the fifth on every single question you're asked under oath. You cannot pick and choose. I don't know if that's true, but maybe. Uh, let's see. Another question here. Are you sure AR stands for Armalite? I don't see any other item in their catalog labeled AR besides rifles. Try AR 7. There are quite a few. There's a number that are shotguns, and then there are some that are components to a Mark 19 grenade launcher. Let's see. H3LLV. I look forward to the day you decide to go into politics. Well, you will have something to look forward to for a while. Thank you, Theory in Motion. Aside from the obvious adjectives for divorce. Oh, that's funny. I had not considered that as a possibility. I think it's part of a drive to push everything back to the state level. Because it's good for business interest if they can wipe away federal protections for the environment and labor. I think that's what a lot of this has to do with, and they have to get rid of a lot of other stuff along the way. Thank you, Matt Rossetto. I always miss your live events. I know you'll put this good to use. Appreciate all you do. Thank you. Thank you, NIMQ. A tip for your school project, but it seems like Finland and Sweden, NATO ascension Turkey problems have vanished just now. Yeah, I didn't think that was going to hold up. I was not too worried about what Turkey had to say about it. I was fairly certain that they would be that they would end up getting admitted. Thank you, Arthur Radford. From one to educators who now they don't think of this as my money, but it's the Missouri Department of Education. Well, thank you. Thank you, Alan Summerwald. Thank you for all you do. Any thoughts on the best way to put pressure on our elected representatives to push for expanding, unpacking the Supreme Court? A strongly worded letter to my congressperson seems lackluster. I think the reality is right as what you can put up is what you put on them after the midterms, with the assumption that they pick up seats. It's still happened is the outrage that is manifesting right now is obviously going to be turned into electoral politics, and it will be used for hopefully gaining more Democratic seats. And then the problem is once the election is over, people won't continue to put that pressure on the representatives, and then they may not do anything. That's the real concern. So don't spend all of your anger in one place. Save a little bit in reserve. Let's see. Okay. Thank you, TCS. I love everything you do. Thank you, except for the way you pronounce my state, Nevada. I'm sorry, I can't do that. Thank you, Daniel D. Do you come up with the responses to all of the questions asked of you yourself? And are all of those your takes? Yeah, I mean, I have people that help, but nobody has anything to do with content. I am fiercely independent when it comes to that aspect of it. Thank you, Emma Freeman. I mean, the other day, I think it was yesterday, actually, over the course of the day, I got 6 or 7 messages from people in the LGBTQ community who are like, "Hey, I'm buying a gun." And I'm like, wow, okay. I mean, it's one of those things where you want the better world, right? But if you are progressive, you have to acknowledge that you're not in that better world. And while somebody like me may be able to be in a position where they don't feel like they have to own a gun, somebody else may be in a very different position, um, because of the world we have. It's for a lot of people, it's a safety net, and I don't want to take that away until we truly build that better world. Thank you, Ahead. Hey, Bo, I'm still on the clock, so I can't watch live. I just wanted to stop by and say thank you for being such a rational person. Yes. Always watch when you're on the clock. That's the best time. Tell your boss I said it was okay. Thank you, Fort Walton Bleach. You've kept me sane in a place that's drank the orange juice. Yeah. Yeah. I drove through there recently, and yeah, that's something else down there right now. There's still a lot of signs up. Thank you, Bewildered Pasty. Thanks for all the good work. That an amazing beer. Thank you. Thank you, Sergio. Being confused about political aspects of society, I found it comforting. You, Cruel Abdul. Here's something for a little. Thank you. Thank you, Foggy Ozark. Thank you, Mary McGuire. Thank you, Haynes. I will never get that last name. Thank you, Jake Nichols, career coach. If you need me to move, hit me up. Thank you, Foggy Ozark. Thank you, Jan the Human. Tell us when and where the school ends up getting set up, and I'll be there. Yeah, we're definitely we're looking into it a lot. In fact, we're going to look at what used to be, I guess, a doctor's office here, I think, this week. Thank you, Testy Trekkie. Here's to Disney and the mouse for ripping DeSantis a new one. Thank you, Isaac Hempseed. How about a video about mass migration from climate change? I actually have videos plural on this, but I'll probably do another one. It's one of those things I bring up because it's one of the few things that gets far right conservatives to be like, hey, wait, no, what do you mean they're going to come here? And then all of a sudden they care about climate change. I mean, I feel bad in the sense that I know I'm playing into the fact that they're racist, but at the same time, it's beneficial. So, I mean, those videos, when you are talking to people who are rejecting climate change as a problem, bringing up mass migration is one of those things that makes people go, wait, what do you mean? Because a lot of people don't understand that as these situations get worse away from the equator, in both, you're going to have a lot of people coming here, and there's a big overlap between the type of person that doesn't want anybody who doesn't look like me living here and those who don't believe in climate change, and that can be a motivator for them. Thank you, Couch Potato. My son, 15, wants to go to the range because of all the talk about the Second Amendment. Not opposed to him learning gun safety. Do you think we can rent a handgun at the range? Yeah, a lot of ranges do that. I would, if you're on Twitter, go look at Armed Equality. They have like a guide. It's at Armed Equality on Twitter. They just resurfaced one of their guides that kind of walks you through that process. Thank you, Euphemistic. Thank you, DCK Punk. Suggestions for affordable above ground planters other than tractor supply troughs. We built some with cinder blocks, and that's what the video is going to be. We built some with cinder blocks. It doesn't get much cheaper than that. So, and I'll post some photos so you can see what it looks like now. But that's the video. Is we're putting in cinder block raised beds, or we have put those in already. A very inexpensive greenhouse, rainwater irrigation, and trying to show how to do it as inexpensively as possible. Let's see here. And where I left off. Some of the comments on Bass are hilarious. Thank you, Nibert. How strong's the drink? It's not. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. You and Grand Thumb need to hang out. Worlds colliding is a good thing. Thank you, Emmy Jade. Thanks for being a stabilizing influence. Thank you. Thank you, Suzanne Brown. Thank you, CF Gregory. Any advice for folks next to Russia? I'm in Latvia. I've seen the rhetoric on Russian TV. I've seen how they're talking. They are not up to a fight with NATO, and they know it. No matter what they say, they're going to want to avoid that at all costs. They have committed a massive percentage of their overall force to Ukraine, and they're not doing well. There is no way they're going to be able to tangle with NATO. I know that's, it's easy for me to say that way over here when you're a lot closer. But I would not be overly concerned about it. See. Thank you. Saving one cat at a time. Keep doing good things. Thank you, Bad Pirate Monkey. Tiny hand. Tiny hands. Something about the president, I'm sure. The former president. That's definitely going to be the meme from this hearing. Tiny hands out of shape ain't choking out anyone. Yep. Thank you, Donna Sullivan. Thank you, physics nerds. Double for pricing my name. For pronouncing my name right. Thank you. Thank you, Daniel Peterson. Thanks for the great contents. Give me a little faith in America. Just a little dough. Yeah. NKV. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Deborah Serrano. Thank you, Jason Murray. Couldn't a lawyer mount a freedom of religion challenge to SCOTUS ruling based on deeply held belief in numbers showing God sanctioned abortion? Maybe. I've used that argument with people and it's made them really mad. So, I mean, when it comes to try AR-10, then there's another conversation that's happening. Not AR-10, I'm pretty sure it's AR-7. I'll put it on Twitter. Now, as far as using numbers and a deeply held religious conviction, yeah, I mean, the argument can be made, but it will have to be made at the state level by the way that they've recently. Thank you, Felion. Thank you, Misha. Since I'm trans, I'll probably never go to the U.S., but I still want to. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy Funk. Thank you, Emma. The correct pronunciation of Nevada, literally Nevada. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's not something that's ever going to happen in the South. I'm just going to go ahead and call that now. Thank you, Braxton Broadhead. Do you get along with your conservative relatives? Sometimes. I mean, I have conservative relatives, and sometimes they are incredibly annoying. But normally, just when they'll like repeat talking points from like Fox, like I have conservative family members that are conservative. Like I don't have conservative family members that truly like, drank the Kool-Aid and went full fash. So even that annoys me though at times. Thank you, Sam Wickham. Can you talk about how, abortion bans and military readiness? That will definitely come up. I'm going to have to do a video about that, especially because there are a whole lot of people that are just panicked over what the Secretary of Defense said. And he really, all he said was keep doing what you're doing. He just said it in a way that kind of scared people. Okay. Let's see. Thank you, Jake Runyon. Thank you, I Love Privacy. Thank you, Have a Merc. Thank you, Vicky Vermillion. Thank you, Empress. Will you be making vids on Lithuania anytime soon? Some other foreign policy is. It's kind of like what I just said in relation to Latvia. I see the rhetoric. He's not nuts. I don't really see them exercising a military option. I don't see that as likely at all. But yeah, I'll do something about it. Thank you, TJ Mull. My political wish list: 1, Trump is charged with multiple crimes from conspiracy of inciting a riot to sedition and on up to treason. A jury can't agree on treason, but can convict on lower charges. Okay. Thank you, Quali Walker. Thank you for actual news. I try. Thank you, John Van Zantvort. Any thoughts on staying to fight in deep red states versus taking the opportunity to leave if you can, particularly if you're in a group being targeted by Republicans? I mean, my advice is if you feel like you're unsafe, yeah, get out if you do that. I don't think I believe in a diversity of tactics. And if there is a situation in which you really feel like you're at risk, the correct answer is to always get out. There is no reason to put yourself at risk. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Alex Bennett. Why is SCOTUS making so big judgments in such a short amount of time? Are they getting? Yeah. So what happens a lot of times is they'll look at a whole bunch of stuff at once, and then the rulings all come out together. So they're not just looking at these all over the last week. Thank you, Ladame 68. Thank you for being a voice of reason. Thank you. Thank you, TJ Mole. 2, Trump appeals up to SCOTUS, and the neocon activist judges overturn his conviction, and Trump runs again. Wow. Lori W, just a thought. Just thank you. Let me think about that. I don't think I've done anything like that before. Elizabeth Ginvillis, thank you. Positively, thank you. Squish Labor, thank you. Jennifer Edwards, thank you. Thank you for everything you do. I really appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you, Ed Banger. Nothing like getting a live stream notification halfway through a workout and only to realize you forgot your earbuds. That sounds horrible. Thank you, Melis Ignatius. Have you ever considered comparing the U.S. electoral system or political systems to other nations? Be curious what you think about Oz's situation. I mean, the problem with that is that when you start talking about the United States and comparing it to other countries, there is such ingrained American exceptionalism in the U.S. that people just kind of like, yeah, whatever, who cares what those other people do? You know, that's not what to further heinousness. All of the methods that get used to pressure Republican candidates. I mean, if you are creating headlines saying that this person isn't doing their job when they have the power to do so, that's different, and it is received differently and creates more headlines than when the protests take place when they don't have the power to do so. If we end up in that situation, believe me, there will be a lot of videos on this topic. Thank you, Alexis N. Do you worry that using tape of someone taking the fifth to make them look bad will get used against innocent folks in the future? I mean, that occurs already. It isn't, the idea is that you don't have to self-incriminate. And there is the assumption that when people take the fifth, they're automatically guilty, and that's not necessarily what it means. So there is a concern over that, but I don't know how to address it. Thank you, Sandy Roberts. Thank you, CHL. you please do a video on the rise of atheism and the decline of boomer Christianity? I have done one like that within the last month or so, covering that exact topic. Thank you, Mike Wilson. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the thing is any of it really surprising? Thank you, Corey. My whole family drank the Kool-Aid. Yeah, that's got to be disheartening. Thank you, Jaco. Do progressive leftists ever criticize you for not being pessimistic enough? Kind of. That's not, I mean, it's not phrased that way, but yeah, at times I get stuff like that. But I mean, I believe in a diversity of tactics. So if criticizing me is what gets them to motivate their base, I'm actually okay with it. Thomas Bernecki, thank you. When I was working in Lithuania for Little Tiny Pharma and searching for my dad's family, every hotel was taken by NATO officers. Yeah. C-Boy, thank you. Are you worried that Trump fighting with the Secret Service to be with his troops at the Capitol elevate his status among his followers? I don't think so. I don't think so. Because as it comes out, I assure you, the end result of that is that he will have been handled by his staff, not that he couldn't do it. Captain Gwendolyn, thank you. Would it be reasonable to advocate that LGBT become trained and armed in case communists try to harm them? I mean, would it be reasonable? It depends on how you advocate for it. I mean, if it's just blatant fear mongering, then that's bad. If it's, hey, this is a legitimate threat you guys face, you know, that you don't have to make this your life, but maybe consider this, then I don't necessarily see a problem with it. The next comment. One content creator to another, your dedication is incredible. Thank you, Bart Welch. Thank you, Ziggy Zaggy. Thank you, Matt Presley. Thank you. Video cutting out and skipping over some beats. Thanks, FYI. Well, there's a storm moving in, which probably means here momentarily this whole thing is going to crash. Thank you, Jay Dunstan. Arrived late and still catching up. It saw today that Dems in one state are buying ads endorsing the less Trumpy GOP candidate. Unethical but smart. Your thoughts? When it comes to something like that, yeah, I truly believe we are in a fight against authoritarianism, right on the verge of fascism. Advertising for the other party to keep the fasci people out, yeah, to me that's totally in game. Like that's fine. Thank you, Buckhorn 25. What do you think of SCOTUS spots rotating into and out of lower federal courts if we can't expand the court? I like it. Maybe do one per district or per circuit. What is it? Is that what it's called? Yeah. I just saw a comment that asked, how big a donation drive do I need for stable internet? I actually have the best internet service available in the county. This is just the cost of living way out in the middle of nowhere. Let's see. To stop them. Okay. Grace C, thank you. Been wanting to get sterilized for years, but it might be impossible soon. It's hard enough already. Lots of sexism about it. Hard to find a doctor to perform the procedure. I wonder how this may have to do with your age. I remember hearing about this recently. Sexism in women's reproductive health. You would figure that would be like the one place where it doesn't really exist, but Bjorn Knutson. Thank you for daily updates on U.S. politics and the world in general. Thank you. Thank you, Viciato Demera. Yeah, how big a donation do you need for? No, I mean, this is it. This is the best you get out here. Z Audio 951. Thank you for all of the people I'm certain you've brought back from their own personal breaks. Any thoughts on similarities between fanaticism for religious texts and the way our government treats the Constitution? It's pretty much the same. I've even heard people refer to the Bill of Rights as a decalogue, much like the Ten Commandments. And that it's like when you hear people say that it can't be changed, when there's literally a method on how to change it in the Constitution, but changing it kind of negates the infallibility of it. And that's something that we're definitely going to have to work on in the U.S. We have to make sure people understand it's a document and it's supposed to have consent of the governed. When it no longer does, then it's worthless. If you want the Constitution to remain a valid document, it has to be updated. How to get elderly Dems to let people with vision on their side lead. Man, I wish I knew that. I wish I had an answer to that. The Democratic establishment does, in my opinion, it tries to maintain center of the road messaging in an era that does not need center of the road messaging, and it centerful. To co-sign whatever you've said, but an anti to a friend sent me back to one of your recent videos to prove a point. Any chance of a vid on what New York's is doing, the motives behind civilian disarmament? I'm not sure what that means. So somebody who is against the second sent a video that I did to prove the point, and I'm guessing it's about New York State. That may have to do with the Supreme Court ruling and the fact that a lot of people are misreading what that actually does, or it may have to do with the body armor thing. I don't know. I'm going to need more information on that one. Let's see. Thank you, Vinny Loco. Make America America again. Thank you, Josh Tebb. Hey, Bo, just wanted to say that I have often had trouble squaring my love for this country and the horrible things done in its name and by patriots. Your idea of making it better helped me to do that. In the South, because in the Florida Constitution, you actually do have an explicit right to privacy. It is spelled out in the Constitution. So it's going to be much harder in Florida to make any of those laws stick. Thank you, Uche. Thank you, Steve Smith. Have you already, or do you ever plan to do a video on John Brown? I have one somewhere. I have one somewhere on him. I mean, it's one of those things now that it's very hard for me to remember when I did one. That seems like it was a while ago, though. Thank you, Doug Piper. Thank you, Dave Blade. Ralph from Germany here. Do you check your Patreon inbox regularly? Sent you a message today. There is a better way to reach you. Twitter is normally fastest. I check the Patreon, like, I want to say once a week. I try to get in there now. Thank you, Thomas Huddleston. Sign me up for your school. Well, we'll get there. Twitter gets checked more often because I use it personally, like on my off time when I'm not working, but I still end up checking the inbox. Thank you, Marie Siduri. Thank you, Emma. Seriously, I would like to leave for a long time. Mad at my people, mountain folk. It's been about 7 years, but I only feel more unsafe. How do I deal with living here without losing my sanity? Right. It's wild to me. What impacted you is to mind your business. What's happening over on your neighbor's property is not your business, and it's disheartening to see a lot of authoritarian tendencies take place. And thank you, Luck Dragon. You just proved why we should have been focusing on our infrastructure here instead of endless wars in the Middle East. Okay, so it is definitely locking up, and we've been doing this for about half an hour now, so we're going to try to wrap up real quick. And yes, we definitely should be focusing on infrastructure here. Thank you, Vivigenic. How can I tell when my conservative family members are turning full fash when they start talking about violence? Thank you, Jenny Larat. Thank you, Paul Jeans. Thank you, Lisa Steedman Shistel. My only regret is that Mike Meadows had but one Cassidy Hutchinson. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Horse As Is. Thank you, Kelly McMahon. Thank you, Alex, Norwegian, and are also pride with shooting. There are many that now struggle mentally. What's the best way to prevent long-term mental health issues? Access to care. Katie Gardner, thank you. Thank you, Couch Potato. If we have a government set up as separate but equal, but why is the Supreme Court going unchecked? It's Congress's job to check them. And right now they can't do it. They don't have the votes. Thank you, Eve Pierre. Thank you, Joe Beth K. Thank you, Law Hoff 95. Thank you, Josh Tip. Sorry, Becky. Just wondering if you think there is value in creating a new vernacular for progressive or even socialist leftist policies. Reframing it might work on some issues. Thank you, Elizabeth Gonvillis. Okay, good. So I got through everybody. And we are definitely heading into a period where the storm is about to knock out the internet. So we are going to go ahead and wind out for today. Thank y'all for joining me. I had a lot of fun. And we'll resume tomorrow, and I'll put out some videos kind of recovering the highlights of what went on at the hearing and the fallout. And don't forget that the Guardian has a whole new snowball that will certainly end up in the hearings soon. So anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day. Thank you, TJ Moole.